Hi everyone, it's Chenso from Reality Art Pod, here to talk about the Challenge 41, Vets and New Threats, Episode 20, Reunion, Part 1. Last week on the challenge, players raced to the finish line in the final, and in the end, Olivia and Yarmi both became first-time challenge champs. I put a link in the description to my challenge playlist, so you can catch up on my previous recaps. If you like the content, consider liking, subscribing, and using my link to try Paramount Plus for free. But let's dive into it. The reunion is hosted by ex-challenger and host of the Challenge podcast, Devin Simone, who looks stunning in green. Big upgrade from Maria Menounos, if you ask me. Enter the new threats and the vets. Everyone looks great. Johnny Bananas spanks his tush at the camera. And our champs, haircut Jeremy and very pregnant Olivia. First things first, congratulating Olivia on her baby, who ran the final. And the show gives them a little onesie that says Future Challenge Champ. We get a recap of the final, including Theo making Adrian do the swim, Cedric and Michaela's missing rope, Turbo's medevac, and of course Olivia and Jeremy's win. Olivia gets emotional, feeling like she had a lot to prove. Bananas gives Olivia props for fighting it out all season to get that win. No one is surprised that Jeremy won. It's revealed that TJ couldn't be standing at the finish line due to the altitude. On the rope, Cedric is still convinced that Theo took it, and there's no tea on who took the rope, which was very disappointing. Who took the rope? On doing the swim, Adrian says doing the swim was the best moment of the final for her, and Turbo continues to shade Theo for not helping her. We highlight the new threats, with Sydney saying that Leo was the glue holding the rookies together. Things get temporarily spicy when Izzy calls Sydney fake and a bitch, but Sydney agrees with her. CT says the best rookies were Sydney and Will. Let's touch on this Bananas-Olivia rivalry. They had beef from season 40, and Olivia got her revenge on Bananas. She's still giddy about it. Bananas basically says that Olivia has a one-sided issue with him, which everyone rolls their eyes at. Onto Bananas saying that he is the challenge. They do show of hands, and most of them agree that Bananas is the challenge. I'm not the biggest Banana fan, and I'll say Bananas is the challenge. Come on now. CT wants in on being the challenge, but Bananas isn't having it. But I also think CT is the challenge. CT gives Bananas a cactus as his flowers. They're doing a little game throughout this reunion called Hangnail, where one person at a time, they'll get a fan question and decide if they want to answer it or pass it off. Bananas is asked who there is least worthy of being asked back to the challenge. Bananas says Izzy, saying all she did was make out with Rogan, but I would say Aviv. Oop. On Will and Olivia's awful partnership, Olivia calls Will an asshole. Will says he carried the team, while Olivia took breaks to tie her shoe. Gabe owns up to being nasty to John A. She forgives him and is very understanding. Michaela and to some degree Lekka insinuate that Gabe is especially aggressive to women of color. He gets teary and apologizes, which gets a round of applause from the group. Sydney is talking about having to stroke Turbo's ego as his partner and make herself smaller for Turbo, which annoys Leo. It seems like Turbo had issues when Sydney socialized with other men. Turbo then says that Sydney always said the wrong things and needed to just shut up. Sydney alleges that Turbo also demanded that she stop talking to her boyfriend on the phone, saying when you call home and cry, you're a pussy. Turbo looks so bad during this, maybe the worst he's ever looked. The challengers gasped. It takes a lot to make a group of challengers gasp. Devin is trying to make a point about empowering women, but whoa mama, there's a spider on set, which interrupts Devin's message that she will never finish. Back to Gabe, who feels he was manipulated in the game when he was encouraged to stake a claim. Olivia and Theo own that was part of their strategy. Michaela is particularly salty with Theo and Olivia for their game, but of all people, Michaela should understand gameplay. Aviv and Jeremy clarify that Jeremy didn't stake a claim because Nani told Aviv they were getting votes. Jeremy gives credit for that to Sydney for hyping him up to stake a claim. This topic, just like it did in the episode, turns into Nani and Will bickering, but apparently Will and Nani are cool and still talk and flirt, and that right before the reunion, they were about to hook up. Will says that Nani said they couldn't have sex because she was on her period. My god, that is too much information. I could have been a journalist. On the fight between Nani and Cedric and Michaela about who was at fault for Will's elimination, Nani owns that she was in the wrong in that blow up and that she was just out of pocket, hopping off on Cedric and Michaela at the club. Michaela and Olivia have a little beef. Olivia feels like Michaela is always in confessional, tearing Olivia down, and she calls out Michaela for making side comments throughout the reunion, calling Michaela a hater, to which Michaela calls Olivia irrelevant. Not a good read. Olivia is very relevant right now. Devin gets young Cedric in the hangnail, asked who's the most fake. Cedric calls out Derek C, but they laugh it off and Cedric doesn't have good reasons. On Turbo calling Derek C FF, fake as F, Turbo and Derek start going back and forth. On a side note, how has Derek not aged one day since 2009? Make it make sense. Nobody agrees with Turbo on his argument. Turbo tells Derek to shut up. Derek does not. A segment on Ashley screaming at her partners. This was just comedy. Thank God for Ashley for making the show entertaining. And another little skit from CT who does impressions. He puts on a wig and a pregnant belly, being Olivia, and his impression of D has a little accent, does a little dance. What are we doing here? On Turbo versus CT, Turbo pulls out flashcards to spell out for CT that he's a BITCH, which activates CT. He's mad, telling Turbo he better watch himself because he's basically about to square up. And that ends the episode on a cliffhanger. This episode could have been an email, but we watched it. I'm hopeful next week's part 2 can get into some of the bigger dramas. I'm expecting it to be a lot of Turbo against multiple combatants. So if you like Turbo against multiple combatants, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I'll be back next week with more challenge. Until then, you know where to find me. Bye.